How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, you see this is a long video. And I know many so far have heard about this incident of all places, Phoenix, Arizona, the very place that I was born. And I truly thank my father for having enough vision to get me out of there at the age of 2, truly. But it doesn't matter where you go in this world, particularly the royal family, there's always a target on our back. And I have been saying often, my royal family, the ultimate goal is to damage the entire royal family, to damage you physically and mentally for the duration of your life. So what I do, my royal family, some of these videos that I do, I'll give it time to play itself out. I'm not real quick to report stories anymore because you get more and more and more. And these things is like a bad virus. It spreads. Just give it a little time to marinate and it spreads. So I always, to the best of my ability, go that extra mile for the royal family to give y'all the fullest picture. You know, I like the internals because I do these videos the way I like to see them. And oh yeah, I got some sweet nuggets for the royal family. Oh yes, I do. And I'm going to point out some things, how, not surprisingly, how the pigs get down when they are caught red-handed, and how they try to throw out these little, or let's say so-called little but big lugs, to sway the public's reaction to they fucked up behavior. And before I really get started, the one thing that really got to me when I was doing this and people were reacting to it, I kept seeing, oh, they need training. They need training. They don't need no motherfucking training. This is their nature. And the ultimate goal also, when they get an opportunity to damage you, they go full throttle. Full throttle. So training don't have shit to do with it. This is what's in them. This is who they truly is. And so all they're basically doing is acting true to their nature. So I will be putting this link here so y'all can read the rest of it. And I have read it, but I cherry picked it, and I'm just going to in this article point out the sweet nuggets, or the bittersweet nuggets. So, shocking video of Phoenix cops holding black family at gunpoint over $1 doll. So, I have a letter that I'm going to read to the royal family. So, this letter, with former Arizona Attorney General Tom Horn as their attorney, the family is suing Phoenix for $10 million. Now, keep in mind, my royal family, they're trying to make this look like this is some po-ass, sorry-ass family that went in to the dollar store to steal. So how could they obtain this type of attorney? And he was an attorney general at one time in Arizona. Think about these things. Think about it. There's many lawyers. And you can get a cheap lawyer. He ain't no cheap lawyer. Keep that in mind. And this is the second person I've seen in the royal family that when they got counsel, they held office. Just keep in mind the young lady down in Florida that got expelled from school based on a picture that the staff seen on her Facebook. Just keep that in mind, all right? Because there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to point out. That's why I got to be slow and methodical with this, because this is serious. So let me read this. In some parts I can skip. Okay. Keep in mind that this incident happened on May 29th. All right. So anyway, let's jump into it. It was not until the parents got back into the car that they realized that Island, that's the name of their daughter, had taken a doll from the store. They were not aware of that earlier. They drove to 32nd and Roosevelt, the building on the north side corner, which is the resident of their babysitter that they have to pay. A police car pulled in behind them. There had been no sirens or lights prior to that, indicating that they should stop their car. A police officer, who we believe is named Meyer, came to the front driver's side of the car with a gun, pulled open the door, and stated to the father, "I'm going to put a cap in your ass." Later he stated, "I'm going to shoot you in your fucking face." Both statements were in front of their children in the back of the car. The officer was from the Central City precinct, and the rules are that they should have body cameras, but they did not. They filed no incident report. The police officer then went to the back door on the driver's side, but could not open it because it was malfunctioning. He banged on the rear window. The mother and the two children were in the back seat on the driver's side. The police officer said, "Open the fucking door." The mother said, "The door won't open." The police officer said, "Put your fucking hands up." The mother said, "My arms are up," which they were at the time. A second officer came with a gun to the front seat on the driver's side and pointed it at the father. The first officer pulled the father out of the car. The father did not resist in any way, then or at any time. The officer put the father on the ground and pushed the father's head onto the hot pavement. It was 107 that day. The father tried to protest that he was complying and not resisting. The officer stated falsely that he was resisting. The officer stated, "You have to do what I fucking tell you." The officer handcuffed the father on the ground. There was no resisting. The handcuffs were too tight. The first officer then yanked up the father by the arm, threw his head against the door of the car, which closed the door, and then drew him up against the back of the car. He told the father to spread his legs, which the father did. The officer kicked him in the right leg so hard that the father collapsed, and then the officer yanked him back up. He kept his knee in between the father's legs. He punched the father very hard in the back for no reason. More officers arrived, put the father into a police car, and kept them there for an hour. They did not loosen the handcuffs until after a half hour in the car. They asked him, "Did you steal the fucking car?" He responded that he owned the car, which was a true statement. The first officer issued a ticket but put another officer's name on the ticket. The car was impounded with no justification. The father now was unable to get to work. He had been gainfully employed at a warehouse. He is limping cannot stand straight or carry weight. All of this is reducing his earning capacity. The first officer then pointed the gun again at the mother and the children. The second officer walked around the car and continued to point a gun at the mother and the children. The mother was pregnant, which was obvious from her appearance. The mother and the children exited from the rear driver's seat. The first officer grabbed the mother and the baby around both of their necks and tried to take the baby out of the mother's hand. He told her to put the baby on the ground, which she was unwilling to do because the baby could not walk, plus it's 107 that day. Also, I want to add my part. And the ground consists of hot pavement. The first officer pulled the baby by the arm to get her away from the man, which injured the arm in a condition known as dead arm. So that pig yanked that mother's arm so bad that she don't have no feeling or anything in her arm. She couldn't do anything with it. Island had been having nightmares and wetting her bed, which she has not done before this incident. The mother gave the children to a lady bystander. The officers then handcuffed her, which hurt her arm. The mother and the father both have bruises on her arms. The officer threw her into the police car face first. She was kept in the car for 15 minutes. The first officer, Meyer, came back and yelled at her. He kept saying, "I could have shot you in front of your fucking kids." On information and belief, Family Dollar store made no complaint, and the police proceeded on the basis of what they were told by some anonymous alleged witness. Also, on information and belief, the city had indicated that the police officers were acting improperly. The police officers committed battery, unlawful imprisonment, false arrest, infliction of emotional distress. Keep it right there. So you see the ultimate goal, everything that they physically are doing and verbally are saying to them. The case can be settled for $2.5 million for each of the 4 claimants, which that would be a total of $10 million. Let me see. It can be, okay, all that other stuff doesn't matter. So, let's proceed on. So we're going to watch this video. Let me get something set up because I'm going to switch back over here. Let me get it all set up. Okay. And if anybody have seen the video, we keep seeing the angle from upstairs where someone was filming, but I happen to get one way better than that. Somebody else was filming.
Police? Yeah.
You're gonna fucking get shot! Get your fucking hands off!
Get out the fucking car! Get out the fucking car right now! Yes, get out now! Get out the fucking car!
You fucking hear it? Get out of the fucking car!
You recording it?
Yeah, I'm recording it.
Put your hands up. I don't give a shit. Put your hands up. Hands up.
fucking doing?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just on the side.
You're not complying with me.
Yes, I am.
When I tell you to do something, you fucking do it.
I am. I'm complying with everything, sir.
Hey, right now, shut your mouth.
Put the other key down. No one else is involved.
When I tell you to put your fucking
I can't put my hands on my fucking baby, nigga. Somebody just trying to go.
put your child.
Hey, hey!
Whoa, sir, come down!
Let go.
What's going on here?
Oh, fuck that shit. We live here. Attacking a lady, man? Really?
Put your child down.
She can walk. She's a baby.
And that's how y'all trick black people, huh?
Can someone just like, defuse the situation here?
That's why motherfuckers gonna start shooting these motherfuckers, man. They wonder why people start shooting at these motherfuckers, man.
You just came out yelling, you didn't say nothing.
Yeah, he just came out screaming and hollering at her. He didn't have to come at her like that, man. That's ridiculous. She sure was.
I was in the car with my baby. I was in the back seat.
We've got so many arms on Chris. Yeah.
Got like what? We got four, five, maybe 6 troops. Good, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more in the truck, so 11, almost 12 people here. God damn.
Okay. So, remember that this happened May 29th. So, now the public is reacting. So, when the police put up their video, they deliberately blurred it. Now, this is one part of it. And this is the angle that someone else were filming. And they deliberately blurred it. Y'all can watch this at your own leisure because it's a 12-minute video because they know this ain't a good look. So let's continue on. So this is a press conference. This is quite necessary. And I like what this brother has to say.
Like this in the Camelback corridor, you're not going to do black families like this anymore. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They're cowards and bullies and bigots with badges and guns. We got a problem in this city, and someone's going to end up dead. And the next time it might be a police officer, because I don't know too many black men that are going to let them put their hands on their pregnant women that way.
A family is suing the Phoenix Police Department after they say officers used excessive force.
And this whole thing started with a shoplifting incident involving a doll, but even though there is video of this incident, police experts are telling us tonight there are crucial gaps in this story. Our Max Gordon breaks down what we see on that video and what we don't see, and he joins us live tonight. Max?
The family says police approached them in an apartment complex parking lot where they were dropping their daughter off for childcare. Now, none of the officers were wearing body cameras, and for between 5 to 10 minutes, we don't know exactly what happened. But as the incident escalated, people began filming on their phones. Guns drawn, profanity flying.
Get out the f***ing car!
Cell phone video from two angles shows the moments Phoenix police officers detained 22-year-old Drayvon Ames and 24-year-old Aisha Harper.
I don't give a Push your hands up.
It all stemmed from accusations that their daughter stole a doll from a Dollar General. But both Ames and Harper were later released and no charges were filed.
If that's the way you typically stop people of color or anybody in this city, you are asking for problems in the streets of this city.
Now the family is suing Phoenix PD, saying officers used excessive force after approaching their car without lights or sirens.
We parked into the complex, dropping our daughter off to the babysitter. Next thing you know, a police officer, or we didn't know who he was, a guy, random guy, comes up to the car, opened the door, banged on the window with a gun, said he's going to shoot us in our face, tell us to get out of the car. We don't know who he is.
The family says between 5 to 10 minutes went by from when officers first approached and when people started filming.
The whole shebang was racist.
But police experts say there's lots of missing information here.
You know nothing about what led up to this encounter. You know nothing about what radio traffic transpired. We know nothing about the officer's state of mind as to what they believe and what their perceptions were.
And while it's not clear if officers knew it at the time, Ames currently has a pending charge of aggravated assault on an officer from October of last year.
Police officer has every right to go home at the end of their shift as anybody else does.
So were these officers being overly aggressive, or does the tape only tell half the story?
You always treat people nicely and with respect, but you do not know who they are or what they're about.
Phoenix PD isn't commenting on this incident because of the pending lawsuit, and it's not clear at this time how much money the family will be asking for. Live in the newsroom, Max Gordon.
All right. So, they indicate that there are gaps in the story. Okay, this happened at the end of May. And we know how y'all fucking get down. Because if y'all can find anything about us, y'all immediately, what they call it, unquote, leak it out and don't have a clue. And saying that this brother had whatever charges he have, they always put that down that black folks is resisting. You can be asleep and you're resisting. Literally, sleep and you're resisting. Up here in the Bay Area, a brother was asleep in his car and they shot over 30 times while he was asleep. So that was aggressive behavior, being first black and then sleeping. Disingenuous motherfuckers. So, as we continue on.
Once again, after several videos surfaced showing officers' treatment of two shoplifting suspects.
Drayvon Ames and his fiancée, Aisha Harper, say Phoenix police pointed guns at their heads while their 1- and 4-year-old daughters watched. The whole thing started after someone reported the 4-year-old had stolen a Barbie from a dollar store and put it into her backpack.
Team 12's Mike Gonzalez shows how the situation unfolded on camera, and we have to warn you, the video may be disturbing.
Drayvon Ames and his fiancée Aisha Harper never imagined they'd be standing in front of the media with their 2 young daughters, explaining what happened shortly after they shopped at a dollar store at 32nd Street in Roosevelt in Phoenix earlier this month. The family had then driven to a nearby apartment complex, about to drop their daughters off at a babysitter.
Car right now.
Things clearly get out of control fast. Someone inside the dollar store had apparently called police, alleging their 4-year-old daughter had stolen a Barbie doll from the store. When police contacted the family, Aisha was in the backseat with her daughters. Problem was, that door on the rear driver's side of the car is stuck and won't open.
It doesn't open. I promise it doesn't open. Get shot.
We're yelling out, the door doesn't open that side. Like, it doesn't open. Obviously, I don't have a gun with 2 kids in my hands. Neither do he. He's right by him.
Phoenix police releasing this statement and a blurred out video on their Facebook page saying, on June 11th, 2019, we were provided video of an officer taking 2 individuals into custody while investigating a shoplifting incident in the area of 3200 East Roosevelt Street. This occurred after the suspect vehicle was stopped a short distance from the scene of the theft. It involved a man and a woman and 2 small children. Please be advised there is some language which might be considered offensive. The video is intentionally blurred for redaction purposes. The Phoenix Police Department takes the allegations of misconduct seriously, and for this reason, the incident is currently being investigated by the Professional Standards Bureau. In the meantime, Drayvon and Aisha say their 4-year-old daughter has been traumatized by the incident, and they're exploring legal options with an attorney. In Phoenix, I'm Mike Gonzalez, 12 News.
Drayvon Ames and his fiancée Aisha Harper were never arrested. We reached out to Phoenix police after the press conference for further comment, but a spokesperson told 12 News because there is pending litigation that it's department policy not to comment on an ongoing investigation.
All of this hyperbia and no arrests. They not gonna just let us out of jail. We already know this. They will dig up in their own ass to find any reason to keep us locked down. And then they sit up and blatantly lie and try to throw out, well, he had this thing pending last year. He was aggressive toward the police. You can't even go by that. That's hearsay to me. I don't care if I see it in writing, because we know they'll doctor up shit on paper too. Ain't a good motherfucking look. Next video.
Valley couple who says Phoenix police used excessive force and threatened to shoot them during a shoplifting investigation have filed a $10 million notice of claim, indicating they plan to sue the city. Drayvon Ames and Aisha Harper went to a Family Dollar store last month near 36th Street in McDowell with their 2 young children. Former Attorney General Tom Horn, who's representing the couple, says their 4-year-old daughter took a doll from that store without their knowledge. As they drove to their babysitter's place at 32nd Street in Roosevelt, Horn says a police car pulled up without lights or sirens. He says an officer opened the driver's side door, pulled out a gun, and threatened to shoot Ames in front of their kids. Horn says another officer pointed a gun at Ames as the first officer put him on the ground, pushed his head on the pavement, and then threw him against the car, told him to spread his legs, and then kicked his legs and punched him in the back. Horn says the first officer then pointed the gun at Harper and the children, grabbed her and her baby by their necks, and pulled the child's arm. Horn says the officer put her in handcuffs and threw her face first into a patrol car after she gave the infant to a bystander. Horn says other officers arrived and put Ames in a patrol car in handcuffs for an hour and asked him if the car was stolen, which it was not.
The car was impounded with no justification. The father is now unable to work. He doesn't have a car to get to work. He was gainfully employed at a warehouse. He's limping. He cannot stand straight or carry weight. All of this is reducing his earning capacity.
The couple was not arrested and no charges were filed. The notice of claim says police committed battery, unlawful imprisonment, false arrest, infliction of emotional distress, and violation of civil rights. Phoenix police say the department takes all allegations of misconduct seriously and says the incident is currently being investigated by the Professional Standards Bureau.
Now note, as I'm playing these series of videos, these motherfuckers claim that they can't make no statements. But we know they always like to leak things out. So I do have a bonus video. And listen to this very closely, and they still trying to drop a lug in this particular video.
After two of their officers were recorded threatening, kicking, and pointing a gun at a young family. And after days of national outrage, the chief is now releasing a video statement and the police report. ABC 15's Al Crenshaw breaking this story this week, and he's now found key details missing from the officer's write-up. Zach?
There are details in that now viral video that aren't in this report, Katie, and those omissions and the officer's actions are now under investigation. Mostly, this report focuses on the shoplifting incident that triggered the whole confrontation. What you won't find in it is anything about how the handcuffed father's leg was swept by officers, how the mother and two young daughters were held at gunpoint, or the cussing and violent threats made by the men with badges.
Millions have seen the video. Two Phoenix police officers threatening to shoot a family, kicking the leg of a handcuffed father, and pointing a gun at the mother and two young daughters.
Hands up.
In the police report, Officer Christopher Meyer acknowledges mom said, quote, "I have my child in here." But he wrote, she continued to refuse to put her hands in the air, then said, "I feared that she was hiding something or reaching for a weapon."
This was a shoplifting call, not a violent crime. She said she had a baby in her hands. She was verbally complying, saying the door won't open. You know, what do you make of the fact that an officer kind of wrote that line in the report that I feared she was reaching for a weapon when there was really no indication she had a weapon?
Well, keep in mind that I can't talk about that, and I wasn't at the scene. So those are questions that we'll ask during the course of the investigation.
In the video, Officer Meyer clearly kicks the leg of the handcuffed father. In the report, though, he writes, "I made him spread his feet."
But nowhere in the report does he mention yelling, "You're going to get effing shot," or "I'm going to put an effing cap right in your effing head."
Unfortunately, I can't discuss the things that you're asking right now.
Neither officer had a body camera or dash cam. If witnesses hadn't been recording, the department would have never seen their officer holding the mother, 4-year-old, and 1-year-old girls at gunpoint. Why? Well, that's not in the report either.
Attacking a lady, man? Really?
We've now learned both officers are off the streets.
We continue to have them work, just in a non-enforcement assignment.
Since the incident went viral,
derogatory calls, hateful calls, some are even threatening calls that we receive.
The family now suing for $10 million. The parents not charged at all. But the 4-year-old's aunt, who helped the little girl shoplift, was picked up on 3 misdemeanors. Chief Williams,
your concerns are also my concerns.
Again, finding herself promising a full investigation and commitment to clean up her department.
I, like you, am disturbed by the language and the actions of our officer.
Now, Zach, this is the second time, though, in 2 weeks the chief has had to speak directly about officer misconduct.
That's exactly right. You may remember 2 weeks ago she was having to defend social media posts, or condemn really, by racist social media posts made by current and former Phoenix police officers. Mayor Kate Gallego said yesterday on ABC 15 News at 5 that the only intolerance necessary here should be directed towards the police misconduct. We have posted this full report on our website, abc15news.com. Just click on this story. Katie?
Yep, this is being talked about across the country as...
And I will make damn sure that y'all can see that report. So then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the aunt then helped the child steal a doll in the store. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Y'all just making up any motherfucking thing. Anything. They never talked about 3 adults being in that vehicle. So what the fuck is they talking about? They know it ain't a good motherfucking look. They know this. So, you try to blur your shit up and you try to, talk about the father got a record and now there's another phantom someplace and she helped the child steal a $1 doll. They would have been pushing that narrative. You're dissing fucking ingenuous. and you know it. See, being empathic, the royal family is empathic. And when we heard the brothers speak, it's like, these black men not gonna take this no more. Where you feel like you have full range to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Because you have an opportunity to terrorize royalty. Like I keep saying, my royal family, they see the kingdom in us. They see the everlasting life in us. Sick of y'all motherfuckers. Like I said, every millisecond, somebody is fucking with the royal family. And then when you get caught red-handed, you're digging for something. And then you want to fall back on the training and all of that. Like we keep saying over and over, that is your nature. You're a dog to your core. And you know it. And you want to hide behind the department and lawyers or whatever you can use to your advantage. This is a true war. And we must continue to demonstrate our faith and fight with every fiber. All of us. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.